I'm stuck on my hair. Okay. This is more officially a rant than anything else. I don't know what day it is. Well, yeah, in like a couple of hours I have my first exam take home. Study tips. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna study for this test. I need to find chapter 6. I'm in chapter 7. I'm pretty close. What the why did I do that now? Okay, 196. Flipping. Oh, there it is. So anyway, say you're in university and you're picking out your courses for the year and you're like, oh, I need this to pass. I pity you because I didn't even... Okay, I'm gonna tell you a little story. I was in my race field. I'm gonna turn this around actually so you can see. The professor in that class is my advisor for all year because I'm a history major. And he was like, you have to take all of these courses, and that's how you're going to get into history. I said, I want to go into teaching. He's kind of teaching. And I was like, high school. That'd be awesome. Oh, okay. You should take developmentals, just in case you want to be an elementary teacher. But trust me, I don't. You really should take developmental. And while you're at it, take my class, too. So I did. I hate developmental psychology. And I'm so sorry for you guys who are, like, really into this stuff. I'm sure it's fascinating. It's not to me, because... I don't have kids, first off, and the professor who teaches, she teaches trying to show parents how their kids should be raised, and I'm sure someday this is going to be, like, the best thing I ever took. 1, I'm not going to be an elementary teacher. 2, I'm not a psychologist, and 3, I don't care. And with the professor who was my advisor, and he was like, you know, I was talking to a girl the other day, and she said, it wasn't me, obviously, but I'm like, this sounds extremely familiar. She said, oh man, I hate psychology, I'm doing so bad in it, I'm not interested in this topic at all. And he's like, why are you taking it? She's like, I want to be a teacher. He's like, are you going to be an elementary teacher? She's like, no. He's like, well then drop it, because you don't need it. I'm like, I'm going to use a red pen. Okay, so you got tests. You don't care about the topic. You gotta study this shit anyway. So, what you're gonna do, in this scenario, I have a book, so I'm lucky here. But if you have notes, you're gonna go through your notes. Always remember that if a teacher talks a lot about a specific topic, I'm distracting you, aren't I? Talks about a specific topic a lot, it's gonna be on the test. I swear to God. So if your teacher's like, oh, what does she talk about all the time? And my professor, she's like, case studies. Case studies. I love case studies. I do case studies. Case studies are fun. I bet there's going to be case studies on my test. So let's look up some of the case studies she kept talking about, because they'll probably be short answer questions that you're going to need to know. So here I get the awesome bonus added of like highlighted words that I did not highlight this. My book actually told me, hey, this is important. There you go. Said it starts on page 196, so I'm going to start on page 196, start with attachment, is the first one. So this is how I study. I take pages that I don't care about. I always have a binder that I can just scribble my anything in. So I'm going to write down attachment. Okay? Now I'm going to look at what it is. So it says a strong, affectionate tie we have with special people in our lives that leads us to feel pleasure when we interact with them and to be confronted by their nearness in times of stress. So I'm looking at this picture of a monkey, and he's got the little, I guess this is the cloth mother that you see in case studies. So I am literally going to think of this picture every time I want to know what attachment is. And then I'm going to write down words that really, really, really mean important. So instead of writing down the whole definition, because honestly, you don't need to write down word for word as long as you understand what you're doing. So we're going to put strong affection with special people. I know my writing is a mess, but I don't care because this is, I'm not even going to read this, but writing it down and visualizing it in my head is going to make me remember this. So I scribble like a beast. Pleasure. And in times of stress. I can fill in the blanks with those words. That's how I study. So that's number 1. There we go. So the way of doing it is, like I said, looking at the picture. Okay, I see the cloth monkey and the monkey. I understand what that means because I did actually pay attention to that part in class, because guess what? It was a case study. So, let's try another one. Okay, so upon further looking at my book, I'm now on chapter 7. I found one where I can show you a good example of how another way I study is. This is good for people who are visual learners. I'm sorry for shaking the camera. You're going to get a big migraine. So it says dominant, okay. Dominant cerebral hemisphere. So basically it has to do with why some people are right-handed and some people are left-handed. So how I will remember that, I'm going to write it down. You can't read that. I can't even read that. I'm writing it through the phone, so it looks even worse than it normally does. So basically, I am going to draw a circle, because this is how I'm going to remember it. I'm going to know that there's 2 hemispheres of the brain, the left and right. The left and the right. No, the left and the right. So if one side has a greater capacity, so I'll point to either side, has greater. So what's greater? Obviously, if this is greater, or this is greater, I'll know what that means. Like, this makes no sense to anybody else. So if one side is greater, so this is right, this is left, and depending on the greater hemisphere, you will be either left or right-handed. So, you know what? I'm going to draw a really, really crappy hand right here with stick fingers. And that is another way to remember it. So I'm going to know what dominant cerebral hemisphere is because of this picture. And you know what? It makes no sense to anyone else, but if it works for studying, do it. The last thing I'm going to tell you about study methods that's going to help you get through your exams is find out how in God's green earth you are a learner, because it is the most important thing to learn, I promise. For example, you saw me write it down, which is the majority of how people learn. Visual learning, obviously, drawing the picture really helps. I learn through hearing. So the best way I study, and I may sound like an idiot, I'm going to read out loud everything that I write down. So while I'm writing, I read. And that is how I remember things. So when I'm writing an exam, or I'm writing, okay, not when I'm writing an exam, but when I'm writing a paper, I will literally read it out loud while I'm typing, like in a movie. Like, I'll sound like an idiot. But anyway, I will literally type and speak at the same time. So this is my wonderful study methods. End of your mass of studying. This is what it it's what mine looks like. This is 2 pages of definitions. This is a brain, believe it or not. I actually can draw relatively, kind of, sort of. But that is my simple brain. I've got the cerebellum and the reticular formation. This is the hippocampus. So leave me alone. And yeah, this is what my notes look like. Should totally be like studying, but I thought I'd just mention something because it seems like I've been dissing. What am I studying? Oh my god, I'm tired. Developmental psychology. Maybe I've defeated the point here. There is one thing about developmental psychology that I am very interested in, and I've always been interested in, is something I'm actually passionate about in a very strange way, is the imagination and the ability to make believe. I obviously am not doing like this, but I find that it translates so well when you're an adult to keep that creative mind going, and it all starts with this. And this is why I'm interested in this. So I just wanted to bring it up. I'm not sure if that video helped anybody at all, but hey, you know what? I'd rather do this than study. So, and you know, if it gives you ideas on how to study, what you think might actually work for you, why not, right? So I may come back to you with something on the simplest, easiest way to write exams. Why do I keep saying exams? Because it's on my brain, because I have to do it in a few hours. With the easiest way to write papers, I have a lot to do with my scribble method, but it works. I promise. So, if you enjoy my lovely ramble of bullshit, subscribe. And if you don't, you know, take away something maybe, I don't know. Do not take classes you're not interested in unless you have to. It's not worth it. I promise you it's not worth it. Please just take things that you like, because if you don't, you will be miserable like I am right now. That's what I say in general. I say that to customers. I say that to people who eat my food.